Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shushoku Cafe. My name is Kasha. I'm from Ikigai Connections, and my partner in crime is.
Hi, this is Takeshi of Quick USA.
We are here with some special guests to talk about a very special topic. We're going to be discussing Southern California and what it's like to live there because we often hear so many questions from job seekers about wanting to move to different locations, what it's like to be there. So, we're going to start bringing in various geographic areas into these Shushoku Cafe videos so that job seekers can have a better idea of what to expect. Sometimes they think some areas are scarier than they really are or more boring than they actually are. And there's some places that are such gems in this world. So hopefully this series will help you kind of consider other places to live. So I will now just really quickly introduce our guests who will give more answers once Takeshi-san asks them. But we have Zachary from Quick USA and Michael from many interesting things, but I'll say JET alumni for today. So, どうぞ、たけしさん、お願いします。
All right, thank you. So when we are talking about like South California, there's a ton of opportunity in here, South California, not only for the job opportunity, but also for the lifestyle in here. There's so many things connected to Japan, like anime, food, so many culture events in here. So when I meet with a lot of candidates and people talk about it, they are very interested in those opportunities, but so many times they are a little bit scared about moving to California because it looks from different state. It looks very high cost living in there, maybe safety issues in there, and then if I want to be there alone, am I gonna have a big friends in the big city? Living life in the big city. There's so many things need to think about it. So today, we have two guests. Mike is from different state, moved to South California, and Zach is native Californian in here. So we want to hear like exactly how do you feel about the life in here? Not stereotype, but the real life in here. So maybe first of all, I'm gonna go for Mike that moved from a different state in California. So if you still remember what you thought about California before moving to California, and then what's the differences after moving in here, California?
Yeah, I moved from Connecticut, actually. It was just after I returned from Jet, and I hung out there for a bit. I went to high school there. And so it's very different, very small town. But I was told I was an honorary Californian because I like cities better. I don't like winter.
Oh,
So
okay.
I couldn't wait. So yeah, I love that part. But yeah, I had the same thing. Like I was worried a little bit about cost of living, but again, Connecticut's even more expensive. So it was like, eh. But also, I just left a permanent gig as a teacher. And then I just had just enough to move there. And I'm like, I'm sure everything will work out. And yeah, it's not, I mean, yeah, everyone does talk about the high cost, but I mean, it's as with anywhere, even Japan, everyone's like, Japan's so expensive. I'm like, is it? I don't know. I didn't really notice because it's only as expensive as, you can make it. I mean, if you're, just eating sushi from 7-Eleven or just going to McDonald's or out here, I mean, dollar stores are amazing. A lot of people just like, they're like, oh, no, I can't. I dated a girl who was just like, I can't go in there. I'm like, what are you talking about? They have everything in there, like stuff that, didn't sell very well at major stores, for example. But yeah, I found, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I've been, not swimming in money. I was poor for most of my time here, and it's always been easy it's not as bad as anywhere, really. It's about the same as anywhere. You move in with people, you share a rent. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it, but you'll always find a way.
Yeah. I totally agree because with my job, I always travel around different states. Once I came in California, what I feel like it's almost same as other state. Maybe the size of the house might be smaller than with the same amount, but you can live in there, and for the safety reason, any state, if you have to be careful. Some area you shouldn't go there. You better go. So once you know there, then it's fine about it. But sometimes, as you said, from Connecticut to California, almost same living costs. And then I had one candidate that was voted about from Miami to California. Please, Miami is also expensive as well. But when you are from different state, your image of California is like you have to live in a $1 million house or something like that. No, it's not like that. So what I want to say, like, I think as for the cost of living, there is always solutions. Like if you once you come in here in California to achieve your goal, there is always some solutions, and then the key is be connected advice from somebody who moved in there already, like some how to live in there. Then I think it's gonna salute in there. That's what I feel.
Not everybody's rich. Yeah. You have sections of LA where people are in poverty or just a lower middle class, and the community is built around that. You can go there. They can always find somewhere that's
Yeah.
cost efficient.
Yeah, and then that living in here in California a long time, I think a lot of the benefit of it. If you live in California, like maybe some of the connection with Japan, like some of the festivals, like some event in there, or like some networks in there. How when you grow up in here, when you live in here, what do you think is going to be a benefit to living in California?
Well, I mean, the benefits to living in California, especially if you have a passion for Japan and Japanese culture. I mean, it's no exaggeration that Southern California is the single most concentrated place in the United States for Japanese culture and Japanese representation in the country. And I don't think it's close. There are so many businesses, organizations, volunteer groups, travelers coming to California, and they've been here for a very long time. I mean, geographically, obviously, we're closer to Japan, not by too significant of a margin compared to the Pacific Ocean, but yeah, Southern California, the benefits, people say that it's expensive, and it's expensive. If you wanted to live in a high rise in downtown Hollywood, that will be expensive. But, there are places that regular people live, like Michael said, not everyone is rich. Most people aren't rich in California, despite the common conception about it. So yeah, there are ways to figure out living arrangements in California. It's really not too different from any other major city in any other state. And, in addition to that, common California pluses, I always talk about the geography. California is one of the few states that not only can you live next to the beach, and you can be 2 hours away from a ski resort. Yeah. You can also live in cities. We don't have seasons really in California, in Southern California. I'm kind of weak to heat and cold because our winters don't get too cold and our summers don't get too hot. We have a lot of opportunities to travel to big cities because Southern California, I mean, just where I live, grew up in Huntington Beach and then moved to Irvine. But, Los Angeles is here. San Diego's 1 hour drive away. And we have these enormous metropolitan areas with huge groups of people from everywhere around the world, including obviously Japan. And growing up as someone wanting to study the language, Southern California is the best place to do it because it's a cultural hub for any major organization that wants to host an event. They usually have at least one of them in California, Comic-Con, Anime Expo, those kind of events where like-minded people can go and socialize and meet each other, gather. Those kinds of places are always in California. And yeah, if you want to speak the language too, the Japanese population is also the highest in Southern California, which means that there are organizations and people you can meet. Most schools have Japanese language programs with Japanese staff, and then you can learn Japanese that way too. So there's just a lot more opportunities to do a lot of interesting things, especially related to Japan and Japanese culture in Southern California, I think. And the benefits, if your interest is to deepen your knowledge about the culture or the language, I think far outweigh any of the preconceived costs that people from other states have.
Yeah, see, that's right. Living in here in California, now I'm listening from Zach. Here in California, it's like between Japan and US. You still live in the US, but you are like also living with Japanese culture in there. When I come in here, I always eating Japanese bakery or Japanese soba restaurant, curry, like everything like
There's something
Japanese life, but also living in US. So you get both benefit in there. And as for the networking, because sometimes, right now, a lot of people want to be like entertainment businesses or game businesses, something like that. Those very competitive. The way to get in is you have to be connected with them, networking in there. So if you live in California, you're doing like a volunteer for those events, like a meeting with somebody in there. That's the only way you create your network in those industry, and that can help you to put your one foot in there and then start your opportunity in there as well. So maybe that's a little bit cost might be higher a little bit. Maybe there's a lot area something a little bit I'm not safe, but there's tons of like very positive things in South California in there as well.
Yeah, every place.
Yeah, go
Every
ahead.
place is a not safe place. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
even in Connecticut, like the first week I moved to Connecticut, we like pull up to a light and a lady like carjacked a car, and we're like, "What?" And we'd moved from Florida, and we're like, "Well, this is worse than Florida." But then, I mean, it's you come here and when you tell me it's unsafe, I'm like, "It is? Okay, you say so."
Yeah, like
Just don't look at the Citizen app, and you're fine.
it's unsafe in the way that pretty much any major metropolitan area in
Yeah.
any location in the United States has higher crime rates than places that don't have as high a population. That's just kind of how it is. It's not specific to California, like you said. Like that kind of stuff can happen everywhere. It's not like specialized in LA or anything like that.
I think you also talk with a candidate who is thinking about considering about like some opportunities, but it's in California, something like that. And then you live in Michigan and Midwest as well. So what's your image about like a California, and what kind of advice do you give for those candidates who is considering, well, yes or no?
I think, honestly, the world is full of so many beautiful places. And it just makes sense that if you're thinking of a different location to live in, just go visit for a little bit. Go talk with people
Oh, yeah.
first. Like, go check it out. I know not everyone can afford that, but there are ways to, try it, as well as looking online, like videos like this or travel channels. Like, if you really have an interest to kind of potentially consider Southern California or anywhere else, there's a wealth of information already out there. You can talk to people, you can watch videos, you can see, people with their cameras shooting all these different places, and talk to people to hear about things that Mike and Zach are talking about, how to live there, and, cost of living and safety and things like that. Coming from Michigan, I would say that a lot of people, we're in this, you know, we're in this state that we feel like, oh my gosh, I think it might be very overwhelming to consider to move to, the big like Los Angeles or something like that. I think a lot of job seekers may be a little bit overwhelmed. They might have the impression it is a little expensive. I also hear people talking about whether they have to have a car or not. Is that's also here in Michigan, you have to have a car wherever you live. But if they don't have a license or don't want to drive, they prefer a bigger city. So for them, it might be perhaps appealing to use public transportation in a bigger city too. But I think just people have to do their research. But there's so many places available out there that are just, I don't know, live in different places, different, 3 years here, 3 years there, check them all out. I think that could be for some people very, equal to happiness. So
I lived in Hollywood, and I had a job at Universal Station and a job in Hollywood, and then other things going around. I would just take the train, just the metro everywhere, downtown, up to my other job. I would park my car for 3 days and never use it.
yeah.
And I had skates, so that helped. I still skate everywhere. But yeah, it depends on where you go. The buses suck, but it just takes forever. But I have friends who don't have licenses. They've never had a license here, and they get around. Well, they bum off friends, but they get around other ways too. It's
Yeah.
still possible.
I miss a life without driving. When I was living in Japan, I don't have to drive in it. Just public transportation, bicycle. If I can live with that, that's great as well. Yeah. And what Kasha-san says, like, it might be better, if you worry about it, just maybe visit one time. It's totally changed. Once you go there, because I also had a very different idea about California. But once I came in here, met the people who is living here, and then many people living in California, they came from different states. So they always talk about and about what the difference is in there. And it make that's made me sense. Okay, then I want to move in here. So it's very difficult. I know in the internet or ChatGPT, you can get so many information in there. But so many times, that information is always surface. When you search for the apartment, it's always show the high end prices in there, but the real life in there, it's not like that. Or like leasing the car in California, there's so many cheaper options for leasing car or something like that. So people living in here, there's so many ideas about it. So maybe come and visit and meet the people in here. That's
Mm.
a good solution too.
The best thing I did was when I moved here, I already had some friends here, but like first 6 months, I just went to any social event, visited all my friends wherever they were. So later on, when people would be like, this area, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that area. Like I got to really know the lay of the land and how things are in different areas just from just going to visit people and, not minding. Like
You
getting
became
out.
the local.
Yeah.
Was that?
You became the local. You
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like in Japan.
That's also a good thing for South California because if it's other state, might be difficult to meet somebody who wants to be connected to Japan. But in here, there's tons of people, tons of meetup, tons of the festival. So it might be easier, even
All right.
easier, yeah, to meet the people. You don't have to feel lonely alone. Like there's
You go on
always
meetup.org and you'll just be flooded with
Yeah.
Japan-related events. Or, I mean, the fact that we have Obon, we say in Japan, in California, we don't really have an Obon date because there's so many temples putting on Obon that they kind of spread out. Each weekend is Obon. They all want to not crowd each other out. There's so many.
All right. That sounds nice. Do you want to add something, Kashi-san, about South California?
I think this is such great feedback. Honestly, you've got me convinced I should probably visit as well too, because I've only been there for business just a couple of times. It was an in and out trip, but personally from Michigan did not realize how much of a Japan connection there is, and it just seems like a really neat place to be.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. I think we can keep talking about it a lot because I think time is coming up. So thank you so much, Mike and
Yes.
Zach, for today.
Yes,
And
big thanks to our guests. Thank you so much, Zachary and Michael. We are so happy to have heard your, boots on the ground experience. And we hope that anybody who has any questions, take a look at the links we'll share in the comments. Add some questions if you have any. We'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And stick around for more videos. We're going to try to highlight other geographic regions too. So you might have a whole bucket list of different places to live in. But hope it was helpful, and thank you again for watching Shushoku Cafe. Bye.